Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, taken from Reddit. If you're new to this series, there is a playlist listed down below. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 75. Laura Isabela's Point of View. Suddenly, I heard a loud sound like thunder rumble from one of the obstacles. "Jake, what was that noise?" Lady Suma shouted. Her familiar was probably doing something reckless again. I ignored her and went back to Loyalty, who had just managed to cross the river and was on his way to the 6th obstacle, an underground maze of sorts. "Loyalty, go through the middle route," I ordered him, then began the far sight ritual. It was a spell that masters could perform on their familiars who had already undergone the rite of dominance to see through their eyes. Our minds become one. Our thoughts become the same. I see what you see. I know what you know. I cast the spell and began to see through Loyalty's eyes. Suddenly, I was slithering my way through the tunnel. Vines that were hanging from the dirt ceiling quickly zoomed past. Carefully, I guided him as he turned corners and went up inclines, doing my best to keep him in a straight path. At one point, I thought I saw something carved into the walls, but his vision in darkness is less than perfect. Eventually, I helped him make his way out, and he was on the next obstacle. Jake's point of view. "Well, I would definitely call this an obstacle," I said, looking at the cliffside. I stood at the bottom of the rocky and jagged cliff about 50 feet high. "Or maybe an impossible task," I mumbled. "Okay, Jake, just do what you did when you got out of that pit. It's just the same," Suma said over the connection. "Are you crazy?" I nearly spat. "This is nothing like the pit. If I fell off that side of the wall there down there, all I had to worry about is a bruised butt and ego. If I fall from here, I'm gonna die." "Well, maybe you could go slowly," she suggested. "Yeah, I don't think that's gonna help," I said, and knocked 2 fingers on the rocky face of the cliff. "Don't worry, Jake. This is the last major obstacle. Once you finish this," she started to say, but I cut her off. "Suma, it doesn't matter if this is the final obstacle or a key to curing cancer. I can't climb this." "Hold on." I was halfway through complaining when I realized something. "Suma, the point of this obstacle is to get to the top of the cliff, right?" "Yes, Jake. Why do you ask?" "The rules don't specifically say I need to climb the cliff." No, not to my knowledge," she answered. "Good, because that's not happening. But I might have an idea on another way up," I told her. "What, like a spell, perhaps?" she wondered. "Yes. Now, Suma, I can use nature magic, right? Even though I have inversion magic," I clarified. "Of course, Jake, you know that," she answered, and then asked, concerned, "Why?" "If I can go to the top of the mountain, I'll bring the top of the mountain to me," I suggested. In a very confused and slightly worried tone, she asked, "What?" Suma's point of view. I watched from my perch on the observation tower as Jake used nature spell after nature spell to move incredible amounts of dirt and rock from the side of the cliff, then climb to the top of the pile and start again. Slowly, he was making his way to the top, leaving a path of destroyed rubble in his wake. He would raise his hands above his head, then clench his fists and throw them down to his sides, and the rocks would break apart and fall beside him, ready to be climbed. "Are you doing okay, Jake?" I asked in a mixture of amazement and horrified. "I'm fine," he answered, grunting with each motion. "Are you sure?" I asked him. "Yes, I just haven't had to cast this many spells in a row before. It's more mentally tiring than I assumed it would be," he explained. "I can't tell from here. How far along am I?" "You're about a quarter of the way done, maybe a third," I said, and he climbed up his most recent pile of debris. He was panting as he spoke. "It felt like more than that." "Jake, your mana can't be running out already, can it?" I asked, concerned. "No, don't think so," he said, and I saw him sit down on the pile of rubble. "But repeatedly climbing up all of those rocks sure is taking the wind out of me, especially after everything else I've done today." He then pulled out something from his garment that keeps on his back and placed it to his mouth. I could see it clearly from where I was, but it looked like he was either eating or drinking. "I need to take a break for a second," he said. "Okay, just let me know when you're ready to continue. I'm going to fly to the next obstacle and try to get a better look." "How many more do I have left?" he wondered. "Only one, I believe." But that I took to the skies. End of chapter. Chapter 76. Jake's Point of View. Panting and weak, I climbed up to the last of the cliffside. Finally, having reached the top after 30 minutes of repeatedly causing rock slides with magic, then climbing up the debris. I pulled myself up to the top and laid on my back. That was terrible, I complained to myself, only to hear Simma's voice in my head again. Okay, Jake, I think I know the best way for you to conquer the next obstacle, she said proudly. I didn't bother answering her at first. I was too tired. Jake, can you hear me? She asked, confused. Yes, Suma, I can hear you. I just need a minute. Okay, but you may not want to take too long. While I was fighting, I saw a giant black serpent coming your way. If I hadn't been so tired, I probably would have laughed. Very funny, Suma, I said dryly. I thought it was a good joke, but my body didn't care at that moment. I'm not being funny, Jake. There really is a black serpent familiar heading your way. That caught my attention. Wait, what? I think it belongs to that noble, Lbry. Huh. That will be interesting to see, I said. During this entire conversation, I hadn't yet been able to bring myself to stand, or even sit up. Jake, if the familiar behind you reaches the end first, then you will have to do the entire course again tomorrow, she shouted. That got my attention and woke me up. I bolted to my feet and started heading towards the next obstacle as fast as I could manage. While running, I activated one of my runes on my armor. It was a body magic rune, which was supposed to increase the user's stamina. I hadn't had a chance to use them yet, so I gave them a shot. I summoned the prepared Dalgar of mana and activated the rune. Obviously, I couldn't do it without the Dalgar, or the rune would have done who knows what. As soon as I activated, I felt like I could run all day if needed to. I was at the next obstacle in minutes. Okay, Jake, I think the best way to beat this one is to go around it, she said. I don't know, I said, staring out across the lake. It's pretty wide. So do I just have to get to the other side of the lake? The shore of the lake was almost 3 kilometers in each direction, but only 100 meters across. I stuck a hand into the water, and it was fairly warm, actually. Yes, essentially. At the other end of the lake is a small island. On the island is the prize of the course. Once you have retrieved the prize, you return back to the start via whatever path you choose, Zuma explained. So this test will be easy for familiars that could swim or fly, but not walk. Exactly, Zuma confirmed. I sent away Jericho and stripped off to my underclothes. Thankfully, the effects of the ruin didn't dissipate, or what I was about to do would have been suicide. Jake, why are you removing your garments? Because, I said, wading into the lake, I'm going to swim across. There was a moment of silence from Suma. You can swim? How? You weigh more than 15 yama put together. Yeah, but I'm mostly made of water, and I used to swim in lakes all the time as a child, so I'm a pretty strong swimmer, I explained, as I began to breaststroke. Suma's point of view. Jake called it swimming, but at first I thought I needed to summon him to safety to prevent him from drowning. He flailed about like he needed help, but no matter what, he didn't stop moving forward. I wasn't worried about any creatures in the water, since the lake was not natural, but was constructed for the course. Jake, if you use magic, you might be able to go faster, I suggested. Yeah, but I would have to stop swimming to cast the spell. I can't do both at the same time, I said. But if you just used a body enhancement spell, that way you could move faster after you resumed swimming. I don't know, he said. Can you explain it? I could try. I took a moment to remember the steps of the spell. I had used it a few times before, like when I was running away from those 3 nobles that day. First, you need to wrap mana around your body. Then you imagine that the mana entering you and radiating through your every muscle and bone. After that, you need to imagine the mana being absorbed by your body and empowering you. Jake began to slow down his swimming and then came to a stop. Okay, I'll try, he said. I could see him from my perch and watched as he was surrounded by a dark blue cloud of his mana. Then it rushed into him, disappearing from view. Oh, wow, he exclaimed. He started swimming again, much faster than before. Twice as fast, maybe even 3 times. I couldn't help but be slightly jealous. It took me a month to learn that spell properly, and he did it in a mere moment. This is amazing, he yelled out excitedly. You're going much faster now than before, Jake, I said. I was about to congratulate him for learning the spell so quickly, but the slithering black mass on the shoreline caught my eye. End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank the T5 members and Patreons. Alithia, Barkey, Feudic Meridian 117, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Aldbard and Gusta, Lord Ashrakull, and White Van 420.